Testing 1, 2, 3.
She's talking to someone in a white jacket.
Oh, yeah, okay, I see.
Shabbat Shalom. One more time. Shabbat Shalom.
Shabbat Shalom.
It is wonderful to be together. Let's take a nice deep breath of Shabbat air. We'll breathe in everything from this past week. This past week has felt like an eternity to me. By the way, we had Passover at the beginning of the week. Do you remember?
That was this week?
We had the entire campus life across the country on fire. And we had normal life here in Buffalo with rain and sun and shine and cold, all that kind of thing. So think about one moment because, you know, as Cantor said, it's hard to believe that Passover was at the beginning of the week. We were eating matzah. Yeah, don't worry. Look, if you notice our challah last week, it was very flat. Now look at it. It's very robust and beautiful. So one more time, we'll take a nice deep breath. Really think about something you want to savor because this is the time we really need some very positive energy. We have Bruce over here who's going to officially welcome you home tonight. I know there are people still filtering in, but we got a full program tonight with lots of beautiful music and words, so we're going to have Bruce give the official welcome.
It's a good thing it's not the Scout Shabbat. I don't know if you saw how much trouble I was having lighting those candles tonight.
It's my fault.
It is. He put them out last week, so it's the way.
I forgot to put them out.
Oh, he forgot to. Anyway, Shabbat Shalom, everyone. We have, of course, a very special service this evening, Jews of all hues, which is winding down. This is our second last one. What a wonderful year it has been. Just interesting speakers, wonderful music, great food. What a wonderful thing this has been. A quick thing, because we have some visitors to the building this evening. For security purposes, just want you to know, emergency exit, we have one over there, and of course you can always go out through the main door, which, by the way, we have doors now. We didn't have them a month ago at our last one. And if you go out that way, to the left, we'll take you out to Sheridan Drive, to the front, and to the right, we'll take you back out to the main, through the main entrance to the parking lot. And it's, you know, again, not anticipating anything, but just it's always good. Like they tell you on the airplane, make sure you know the closest exit and be aware it's usually behind you. And we have, you know, if there's an emergency in the room, we have stop the bleed kit and defibrillator and stuff like that out, first aid kit out in the lobby as well. So we're ready just in case, which we'll never need. I will be back later with announcements. We have lots of stuff coming up in the next couple of weeks. A very, very busy time, even though, as the rabbi said, we're through with Passover. We don't have any more holidays coming up, but we do. We do. We have all sorts of stuff still coming up. So enjoy the service, and I'll be back later with the announcements. Shabbat Shalom.
You are really in for a treat tonight. We're going to really transform this place, and you'll learn a little bit more as we go. But I want you to take in this first little bit as a way of kind of introducing where we are. The music will really lead the way, but I want to read a poem. This is a Sephardic poem by Judah Halevi, and it's at least 1,000 years old. The poet imagines his voyage. Let not your heart tremble in the heart of the sea, when you see mountains trembling and heaving, and sailors' hands as limp as rags, and soothsayers such struck dumb. When they set their course, they were full of joy, but now they are beaten back in shame. The whole ocean is yours to escape in, but your only refuge is the snare of the deep. The sails quiver and quake, the beams creak and shudder. The hand of the wind toys with the waves, like reapers at the threshing. Now it flattens them out, now it stacks them up. When the waves gather strength, they are like lions. When they weaken, they are like lambs. They are like snakes, who then pursue the lions like vipers that cannot be charmed. We're going to hear a little of the music to begin with. And this is Ki Eshmera Shabbat, about protecting and watching over Shabbat.
A Baghdadi folk song, table song really, for the Shabbat. Ki Eshmera Shabbat, Eshmereini. Ki Eshmera Shabbat, Eshmereini. Oti leomeyad Ki Eshmera Shabbat, Eshmere, around like 120 something. Hoti leomeyad beino uveni. Hoti leomeyad beino uveni.
Page 129 in the middle. Let's try it all together. Here we go. Ki Eshmera Shabbat, Eshmereini. Ki Eshmera Shabbat, Eshmereini. Oti leomeyad beino uveni. Do you want to introduce our musical players here?
Yeah, we can do that now. Or
Yeah, why don't we, so that we introduce them as they come in.
All right, well, we have Leanne Darling on viola. And we have Douglas, I don't know your name, Douglas Rutkowski on percussion.
Gary Rakowski.
Oh, Gary.
You can call him Douglas.
Gary Rutkowski. Well, that's going to stick for a while. Ben Cohen on percussion and Bob Accurso on santur and percussion.
That was a treat, Cantor. I don't know if you know this, but when I was in college, we used to sing this every Shabbat. And it was always my favorite one. Shira and I and Matt. I'm looking at Evie because and Barry because that's what we used to sing. They're like family to me. So we had a very special event this week. We have a couple of new Jews over here. I'm going to invite up Sarah and Maxwell. Do you want to come on up? It's one of the favorite things of this week. And we're going to have them light our candles over here. And Sarah was telling us sometimes they're not able to make it to services, but they're always watching on our live stream. So welcome to all the other live streamers as well. The blessing is on page 120. We'll do it together. Yeah, why don't you light first? Light. And we'll bring in the Shabbat lights, and Cantor will lead us.
Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam asher kiddushanu b'mitzvotav v'tzivanu lehadlik ner shel Shabbat.
May our candles light our way into Shabbat. And Sarah, if you could lift up our Kiddush cup there. And we'll sanctify the day of Shabbat on page 123.
Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam borei b'riach hafen. Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam asher kiddushanu b'mitzvotav v'ratzavanu v'shabbat kodsho v'ahava u'v'ratzon himchilanu zikaron l'maseh Bereshit ki hu yom tefillah lemikra kodesh le'etzion mitzrayim kivanu v'chata v'otanu kedashta mikol ha'amim v'shabbat kodshecha ve'ahava u'v'ratzon hinchatanu baruch
Mekadesh
Shabbat. Amen.
And we say together, L'chaim.
Hi.
And if you want a drink, it's up to you. It's Jewish wine. And let's say together, Mazel Tov. Ready?
Mazel
Mazel Tov. We're very, very happy to have Sarah and Maxwell have been coming regularly the last few months, and we're really happy to have them. And welcome to the tribe, we say. Thank you. And Maxwell, show off your beautiful kippah there. It's trains, I think. Last time I thought I was trying to guess what the kippah was. I thought it was Jewish stars, but it was hockey sticks. You guys can figure out.
Apparently, he talks a lot at home.
So we're going to have Ronnie DeBrown come and kind of help us get into the mood of where we are as we enter into Baghdad and Iraq. Here we go.
Shabbat Shalom.
Shabbat Shalom.
So, Iraq became a part of our daily lives in the U.S. following September 11th and the Bush administration's military actions against it. So I wasn't as worried about trying to place Iraq on a map for you guys or introduce you to some of the cities. You've heard them, and you've heard them often. You also learned about this area when you were in school. Remember learning about the Fertile Crescent, right? The confluence of the Tigris and Euphrates rivers, the cradle of civilization. That's the place. Did you know, I just learned that Neanderthal remains have been found in the area dating from 65,000 BCE. It's very old. The Sumerians, the first designated civilization, began there, and they're credited as inventing the first writing system, the first to harness the wheel, and possibly, but I disagree with this because I'm a Mesoamerican anthropologist, so we have a bit of a disagreement on this, the first evidence of mathematics, astronomy, and astrology, but for sure, written law, medicine, and organized religion. This area has an incredibly important is an incredibly important part of Jewish history. It's real important to us. Abraham was born in that area. Abraham came from Ur, right? A city in Chaldea between modern-day Basra and Baghdad in Iraq. Iraq became an important part of our home, our diaspora home. After the conquest, the Babylonian conquest, and we wound up moving there, and the destruction of the first temple in 586 BCE. And I'm sure you've heard the name Nebuchadnezzar. That's who defeated us, the king of Babylon. So that's the source of those words from Psalm 137 that if you don't know, you probably do, but if you haven't heard, you've heard Jimmy Cliff sing, "By the rivers of Babylon, where we sat down, and there we wept, as we remember Zion." That's that song. Oh, thank you. Perhaps you're familiar with the Babylonian Talmud. It's our compilation of rabbinic opinion written between the 3rd to 5th century CE, explaining most of the laws of our people. I mean, we use it today. Responsa, when the rabbis need to make a decision, they still go to this compendium of our law. It was written, the Babylonian Talmud, Babylonia. And our situation now in modern day Iraq is astonishingly different. And Michal is going to talk to us about that later. But our fortunes were better and worse depending upon the rulers of the area. I guess that's true everywhere we've been. At times we prospered. and at other times, we didn't. Part of the time that we didn't caused many Jews to move to India and gave a large Jewish population to what is now, or what used to be called Bombay and Calcutta. As you might imagine, the story of Iraqi Jews in the years leading up to, and especially during and immediately after World War II, was one of complete destruction of a thriving and impactful community. A pogrom known as the Farhud was the impetus for the majority of Jews remaining in Iraq to leave, and this impacted Michal's family, and she'll talk about that. And so that's my bit of an introduction. In the service pamphlet, it does talk about how the last evaluation of the number of Jews living in Iraq today is down to 3. That was in 2022. So I don't know, I couldn't find anything more current, but thank you, and Michal will come up in a bit, and I'll ask her a few questions so you can learn a little more.
Ronnie, at the height, how many Jews were living in Iraq about?
Sorry. There was a point where I remember reading that it was 60 to 80,000 in the major cities, with more outside. So it was a huge population.
Thank you.
So that's a little taste of what's to come, but also will help us appreciate this music that's been built over thousands of years. We're going to turn to Lecha Dodi on page 138. And what verses are we doing?
We're doing 1, 2, 5, and 9.
And the 9th verse, we rise, we face the back, the doorway, we bow to Shabbat as she enters, and then we welcome each other by waving.
And when we do get to the 9th verse, there's going to be a call and response. I will, sing out something, and you will sing it back to me. And you will know when we get there because the percussion and the music will stop. And this is in the Khaliji style of music, which is very popular in Iraq and across the Arab world. And its roots going back more than 1,000 years in Iraq specifically. And this was set to Hebrew, to Lecha Dodi, by a gentleman. His name is Dror Sinai, and he is a percussionist. And I reached out to him, and he was very gracious. And I don't have very much information on him because it seems like his website is always under construction. So I think it's been that way for a long time. But he's quite a character and quite a musician. I did share this Lecha Dodi very early on when I was sending out the Cantor's Picks. So you can find it about a year ago when I shared it, if you're interested. Lecha Dodi.
Shabbat,
ודיבור אחד, השניענו אל המאוחד, אדוני אחד ושמו אחד, לשם ותפארת ולתחילה, אחד אותי לקראת קלה, אחד אותי לקראת קלה, הנה שבת נקבלה, הנה שבת נקבלה, אחד אותי לקראת קלה, אחד אותי לקראת קלה, הנה שבת נקבלה, הנה שבת נקבלה. לך דודי לקראת קלה, לך דודי לקראת קלה, הנה שבת נקבלה, הנה שבת נקבלה, לך דודי לקראת קלה, לך דודי לקראת קלה, הנה שבת נקבלה, הנה שבת נקבלה, לקראת שבת לכו בניך, כי היא מקור הברכה, היא ראש מקדם נסוכה, סוף מעשה במחשבה תחילה, לך דודי לקראת קלה, לך דודי לקראת קלה, הנה שבת נקבלה, הנה שבת נקבלה, לך דודי לקראת קלה, לך דודי לקראת קלה, הנה שבת נקבלה, בני שבת נקבלה. לך דודי לקראת קלה, הנה שבת נקבלה, פני שבת נקבלה, לך דודי לקראת קלה, לך דודי לקראת קלה, הנה שבת נקבלה, הנה שבת נקבלה, התעוררי, התעוררי, כי האורך אורי, 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 שיר דברי, כבוד אדוני עלייך נגלה, לך דודי לקראת קלה, הנה שבת נקבלה, הנה שבת נקבלה, לך דודי לקראת קלה, הנה לקראת קלה, הנה שבת נקבלה, הנה שבת נקבלה. לך דודי לקראת קלה, לך דודי לקראת קלה, הנה שבת נקבלה, הנה שבת נקבלה, בואי ושלום תלת בעלה, גם בשמחה ובצהלה, תוך אמונה עם סגולה, בואי קלה, בואי קלה, בואי קלה,
Kala boi kala. We turn and welcome one another.
אחד אותי לקראת קלה, אחד אותי לקראת קלה, הנה שבת נקבלה, הנה שבת נקבלה, אחד אותי לקראת קלה, אחד אותי לקראת קלה, הנה שבת נקבלה, הנה שבת נקבלה, אחד אותי לקראת קלה, אחד אותי לקראת קלה, פני שבת נקבלה, פני שבת נקבלה.
We remain standing, page 146, for our call of community. Look around at our wonderful Kehila Kadosha, our holy community here. Each one of you is important and sacred in this moment. Whether you're up here or down there, all of us make up this community. Again, page 146, the Baruch Hu.
Baruch hu et Adonai, Avivova.
Baruch Adonai Lamborach Leolam Vaed. We remain standing for the Shema, page 152, 153.
Shema Yisrael, Adonai Eloheinu, Adonai Echad.
Baruch Shem Kavod
Malchuto
Leolam You may be seated. In lieu of our normal Via Hafta, we have a special song that has the motif of Via Hafta, and you shall love your Lord your God with all your heart, with all your soul, and with all your might.
So we're actually going to put some words of the Ve'ahavta in this Iraqi folk song. Very, very, very popular folk song, very popular amongst the Jews when they had left Iraq in the early 50s, like 1951. They took this song with them all over the world to Bombay, as Ronnie was saying. I found some archived recordings of this song sung in Hebrew by an Iraqi grandfather who lived in Bombay. It is in Hijaz, right? Yes. Okay. Maksum Hijaz, which is a certain type of pattern and scales. And the translation of the song, it's all about love. And these are just some words from the poetry from the original song. Up there, I have a lover when his cheeks shine. Oh, I start thinking that the moon is up there. By God, a water stream, a songbird has chirped on the jasmine branch. Oh, anemone flowers. Some of the poetry that's in it. And we're going to be singing the first few words of Ve'ahavta. Ve'ahavta et Adonai Elohecha b'chol levavecha v'chol nafshecha u'v'chol meodecha. And that is on page 154. You're going to know when we get there, so you can look down for the Hebrew. And this is a rousing song recorded by many people in the Arab world. has even more Jewish story to it. It's attributed to 3 different people. The one is a Sufi poet. The other one, I don't remember. But the middle one was, actually the one, Othman al-Musali. The other one was one of the Kuwaiti brothers, which had a tremendous, Jews, had a tremendous career in Iraq. And then they were forced to leave Iraq, and then they went to Israel, but there wasn't really very much calling for Iraqi music there. But his grandson, Dudu Fasa, anyone heard of Dudu?
Yeah.
Yeah. That's one of the Kuwaiti brothers' grandson, and he recorded this. You can find this on YouTube. He recorded this, but in a very, very modern way. So you might want to look that up.
I like how there's a lot of clapping. That's good. Okay.
A lot of what?
A lot of clapping in the music.
Oh, yeah.
We're going to invite you to rise for the silent Amida. If you want to follow along the pages, 164 to 180. Take an opportunity now for your own private prayers and reflections, and whenever you're ready, you may be seated. We're going to turn to page 632. And this is wonderful. You're including a lot of my favorite songs. So you took me back to the Shabbat tables for my youth. And now this is also one we used to sing quite a lot, 632.
An Iraqi folk tune, Mi El. Israel
many of you sang that song growing up in camp and other places? Yeah, I think when it hits the Ashkenazi world, it gets a little bit different. It kind of speeds up a little bit. So it's wonderful to kind of hear it in this motif. Did you sing it growing up also?
Yeah.
Yeah, it was very popular in Shabbat tables especially. All right, we are ready to bring up Ronnie and Michal. And it's very, very lucky for me to have Michal come up here. She and I have known each other a long time, been friends, and our children are friends, so it's wonderful to hear her story. And Michal is very understated, but her family story you're going to see is quite something. And it just goes to show you that in our room and in our larger community, we have amazing histories that are just waiting to kind of be revealed. All of us here come from so many unusual places. And it's just really incredible to be part of a community made up of so many adventures that people have gone through. So let's see, do you want this one too?
No, we'll pass it back and forth. So I did find out that at the end of World War II, as is in our service pamphlet, only so many Jews left Iraq that only 6,000 remained, down from 135,000. But that 40,000 number, 45,000 number was what stuck in my brain, and that's who was centered in Baghdad at that time. Over the course of an airlift or a grand migration that I hope Michal will talk about a little bit, 120,000 Jews from Iraq arrived in Israel. So that's amazing. This is Michal Shmuel Lewis. And I was fascinated by our phone conversation, and I think you will be fascinated by her as well. I hope, Michal, you'll explain a little bit of how and why your family left Iraq and how this led you to actually be with us here. I know that you told me that your family's odyssey included your grandfather and 9 siblings, right? So here, let me give this to you, and please share with us how this occurred and what happened as a result.
So, well, this is some history. My name is Michal. I am a first generation born in Israel. My mother was 3 years old when they immigrated from Iraq, and my father was 8. Most of the Iraqi Jews left Iraq in 1951. So I did some more research. So the Iraqi Jewish community is one of the oldest, and they lived in Iraq for 2,600 years. And they were very prominent and dominant. They had very high positions in the government. They were advisor to King Faisal I and II, and lived very well together with their Muslim neighbors. My grandfather and my grandparents both had a lot of good things to say. My grandma was joking about it, that she said, I was more Jewish in Iraq than I am in Israel. They had very, very strong traditions. They went to Jewish day schools. And I'm talking about my grandma. There was the Jewish community, there was a rabbi who actually started. He kind of passed a Jewish law that Jewish girls should also go to school. So my grandma went to school. Jewish girls went to school until 8th grade, and then they got married. I know from my grandparents, they didn't have very strict matching laws. So they got to choose each other's, my great-grandma said that her mom brought a nice gentleman and say, well, why don't you people look at him and see if you like him, and then let me know if you do, then we can proceed with that. So for years they had a very good life. They were well-to-do. They used to live in, so there was two very big Iraqi Jewish neighborhoods, and in Baghdad, yes, I know my great-grandfather, my mom's side, he worked in Basra, but most of the Jews lived in Baghdad, in two very prominent neighborhoods. They used to live in like quarters, so there's similar houses like this in Israel. So they used to have an open courtyard, and then around the courtyard they had apartments and with rooms. And when the daughter got married, she would go with her husband to her husband's family. So when my grandma, on my mom's side, when she got married, she said goodbye to her family and she moved into my grandfather's household. And they had 4 or 5 floors, and the grandparents lived on the bottom floor, and every son with his wife would live on the second floor. Every floor would be divided into 2. And the kids would play in the courtyard. They had a roof. When it was hot in the summer, they actually slept on the roof. I just talked with my father about it. It's like, I completely remember that. They used to cook, all the women. So my grandma has a very, very close relationship with her sister-in-law, because my grandma was 16 when she got married to my grandfather, who was 10 years older than her. And her sister-in-laws became her best friends. So they used to cook together, do the laundry together, went to school. I mean, not at this point after she got married, but everybody helped each other, deliver the babies and raise the babies. And yeah, so my grandfather was one of 10. He was the oldest of 10. On the other side of my dad's side, my other grandfather was oldest of 8. And a lot of the Jews were jewelers, they were lawyers, accountants, and they did a lot of trading with European countries and with India. It's funny, but all of my grandma's sides of the family, they all have French names. So my grandma, I never heard, my grandma's name is actually Henzi. I found out there's a very famous French singer, her name is Henzi, but I've never heard anybody else called Henzi. I have my grandma's sister is Juliette, Evelyn, Doris, Spirance. They grew up in Iraq, all were born in Iraq. On the other hand, the other side is more traditional. We have Chaviva and Juliette. Yecheskel was a very, very famous Hebrew Jewish Iraqi name, called after the rabbi Ezekiel Yecheskel. On my grandma's side, my great-grandfather, on my mom's side, he was a cantor in temple. She used to say that they used to save them the first row in temple. And it was also a jeweler. So I brought some. I'll hold that for you. So my grandfather in Israel. So this is some of the things this is my grandfather made it in Israel. So a lot of Judaica, but I want to show you. I think most people know. Let's see. Sorry. So this is, my grandfather didn't make this, but I don't know if anybody, if most people know that this is the cover for the Sephardi Torah. Yeah, when you open it, it has the Torah scroll inside.
And the Torah faces you.
Yeah.
And when you open it, the Torah faces the congregation, and the person who's reading has their back to the congregation, and they read it this way. At least that's how I was taught to do it, right?
Yeah. Also in the Sephardi temple, the bima
is in the middle.
So there is actually a replica of a. So there is a museum. It's called the Jewish Babylonian Museum. It's in Or Yehuda. It's outside of Tel Aviv. There's a very big Iraqi community who kind of a lot of them moved there, and they actually created a market. There's a market called it's a little bit broken, but yeah, don't worry. So they created a similar market they had in Baghdad. They built it in Tel Aviv. And if you go there, you have all the Iraqi food in the market, and people play sheshbesh, backgammon, which was like the most popular game. You couldn't beat my grandfather in sheshbesh. We all tried. They would have tournaments at my grandma's house every Saturday. Everybody played. There would be Iraqi cookies and desserts and traditional food, and the men played.
Mentioning food, can you share with us some of the traditional aspects of Iraqi food, especially around the Shabbat? And you told me that there was a traditional cholent that.
Yes. So Shabbat was as I said, my grandma said that she was more Jewish in Iraq than in Israel, but I'm very lucky that they brought the tradition. A lot of the Jews led a very traditional life, and I think this is why it's really instilled in me. So we were very lucky. We all lived within a walking distance in Israel from one another. So every Shabbat, I would go, Friday afternoon, I would go to my grandma, and I kind of helped her set the house for Shabbat. She had a big silver tray, and she would put all the candles, and I would see her lighting the candles, and she would prepare this big pot of food of Iraqi cholent that is based on, she would take a whole chicken. She would make a mix with rice and some beef stew and tomatoes, and we have it's called ba'arat. It's a spice that is based on, it has cinnamon and nutmeg and white pepper and some curry. There's a lot of influence on the Iraqi kitchen from India, because the Iraqi Jews traded with India, and then in some point the Iraqi Jews, some of them moved to India, and they said, why should we buy it from the Indians? We're going to go there and start our own businesses. It's like people do it in China now. So there's a lot of similarities. Like we have this pickled mango, and we have sambusak, which is similar to the Indian samosa. We have a lot of similarities. A lot of rice and okra.
You don't eat beef on Thursday?
Yeah, there's all kind of traditions. Like on Thursdays, there was no meat. So they used to make, it's called khichdi, which sounds like it's the Indian food, which is rice and lentils. And they used to make an omelet and a salad next to it. So no meat on Thursday because you had to be busy cooking for Shabbat. And we had a traditional Shabbat morning food, which is a sabich, it's a pita. My mom would fry eggplant on Friday in the morning, slice eggplant and fry them and make like latkes, but the Iraqi Jews, they're like vegetable pancakes. So if you take the latke and you add green onions and zucchini, this is our latke. And you stick it in the pita with the fried eggplant. You cut a boiled egg inside, you put salad, and you drizzle tahini on top. And this is our Shabbat morning traditional food. And then the big pot that we had at my grandma's house, we would have like an aliyah to my grandma's house, and at about 5 o'clock in the afternoon, we used to meet at my grandma's house, and she would lay out a table of like all kind of dry fruit. Dates are really big in our tradition. In Iraq, they would serve the big majul dates with raw tahini. So this is our peanut butter and jelly. So the Iraqis' peanut butter and jelly is dates with sesame paste. So in Iraq, they used to take the dates and they used to dip them in the sesame paste and eat them. And in Israel, they started making date honey, and just you mix it. If you take some sesame paste and you mix it with date honey or just honey, it's delicious. So my daughter Sarah used to take it for like the sandwich to school. Yeah, and we had special cookies and we had special food for every holiday. So we just had Passover. Our traditional charoset is not apple charoset. I was never introduced to it until I came here when I was 30 years old. I'm sorry for my ignorance, but I wasn't exposed so much to Ashkenazi food in Israel. So we would, the Iraqi Jews, and maybe it's different because there's an Iraqi guy here, I don't know how it was in his family, but in my family, they would take walnuts and this is what I did when Passover started. I take a bowl and I chop walnuts, and I would just take date honey that I brought from Israel, and I would just pour it over it and just soak it, and then this is our charoset. You just dip the matzah in the charoset, and in the Seder, you eat it with a lettuce. It's delicious.
You can get date honey in the United States. I have gotten it.
They have it in Tops, don't they?
Oh, I don't know.
Yeah,
I didn't live here when I got it, but
The kosher section.
I think I got it at Whole Foods, actually.
Yes.
Just, can you give us a brief word about how you wound up in Western New York, and then we'll have to conclude with that. Thanks.
Yes. So how did I end up? I travel, like a lot of Israelis travel the world. So I did not travel the world when I finished my military service. When I was 18, and it's pretty ironic, I finished my military service in January 11th, 1991. And the United States gave Saddam Hussein the ultimatum. It was on January 15. So I finished, they let me finish a few days earlier. They gave me a gas mask and they told me, have a, good luck in your civil life. So so the Gulf War started a few days later. So I couldn't go to college. I couldn't find a job. We thought that this will be the end of us. And luckily we stayed strong and we went through this. And so I went to college later on. And I finished my military service, started working, actually worked with new immigrants who came from Russia at that time. Studied for 4 years. In Israel, I was an English teacher. I was teaching English as a second language. And then the opportunity presented herself when my school was sold to a private entity. So I took a year off and I traveled the world, and I met someone from here that worked in California, and I really loved traveling and hiking. So I went to Yosemite Park, and his family was from Williamsville, and he told me there's a Jewish community center. So I took my bike and I rode on the UB bike path, and I saw the Jewish Community Center, and I had 2 weeks to be here before we went to California. So I went to the JCC, and I asked if they needed help, and they asked me to write my name, and someone gave it to the principal at the time. And he asked me if I want to work as a teacher, because a Hebrew teacher, was retired after 14 years. And I said, okay, I'll stay here for 1 year. So...
And we are so lucky to have you here. So thank you so very much.
I have some pictures too later on. People want to see my grandparents and my great-grandparents. There's some picture I can show you there. And I just want to show you something just before I leave. This is, so my grandfather, the symbol of the Iraqi Jews is a dove. So in a lot of the Judaica and a lot of art, Jewish art, there is a dove. And my grandfather made each and every one of us a Kiddush cup. It's made of silver, and he made a dedication for us on the back just with a piece of metal. So it says, to Michal, with love from Saba and Safta. So I just wanted you to see it. And all of us, all the grandchildren, we are there's more than 50 of us have this at home. All the children and grandchildren. He lived a long life. He lived until 103 and passed a few years ago. So big part of my life. Thank you for letting me share my story.
Thank you for sharing your story.
You're not looking, Michal. They gave you, look at this.
Oh, thank you. That was quite.
So, as Bruce mentioned, this is the second to last Jews of all Hues for this year. Evie and I want to extend our heartfelt thanks to Rabbi Alex for his organizing and supporting this program and for getting us our wonderful speakers, including Michal. Cantor, without your music, this program would be two-dimensional. It's so rich because of what you've done. Zach Rosenblum adds so much to our appreciation of each country, each place we visited, as we use other senses. So now we use our ears and our eyes and our taste buds and our nose. Joanne has been instrumental as well. She keeps us on the straight and narrow. She gets all the stuff we need. She gets our little flags for our passports. A very important resource. Michael Berger, your investment in us as a community, in Jews of all Hues, continues to pay out and will. We learn so much about ourselves because of you. So thank you. So many people have expressed appreciation for learning new dimensions of our people. There's a program change for next month. I think most people are aware that our musical presenter is ill and so cannot come. And he had to cancel. However, we know you're going to enjoy and appreciate our exploration of what it means to live as a Jew in Israel. Maybe we should talk to you as well about this. And you'll be honored. I know you'll be fascinated to hear from Andy Simons about this. We'll have a very special oneg to follow, and we're going to create an opportunity to donate to families of the hostages. Hopefully, that opportunity will be so to resettle the hostages into their families, please God. And so there'll be items on which to bid, and there'll be more information, so keep your eyes and ears open about this. And we'll celebrate together the ending of the first year of our Jews of all Hues program. So thank you all.
Yeah, and thank you, Ronnie and Evie, and our adult education committee that they chair for a lot of hard work and love to make this happen. It takes a village, as they say.
Next month we will have Israeli dancing. I don't know if everybody knows Dorothy, who used to teach
Dorothy,
here.
oh my God.
Dorothy,
yeah.
she used to teach here. Or was that at Temple Sinai? Where was that?
Well, she used to come to
Temple Beth Am?
yeah, oh yeah, she taught.
She's
with one of
coming. She's going to be teaching maybe 6 or 7 dances, and then also we're going to be doing some standards that you don't even have to know how to dance or put your right foot or your left foot. You don't have to worry about that. You just move around and have fun. So we will set it. I didn't even talk to Joanne about this yet. We're going to set it up a little bit different in there and make sure after we eat we have plenty of time for Israeli dancing.
Are
folk
we gonna
dancing.
Are we gonna do Mayim?
Mayim is on there.
Okay, just checking.
You can. I'll go over the list with you, Rabbi.
So we're gonna do our prayer of healing, page 371. I just want to, Gerald Eatery that was supposed to come here, it's not a life-threatening, he has some back issues, but we're sending a lot of prayers his way. I just wanted to, sometimes when you hear about an illness, you might think, but I think he's okay, he just couldn't really travel, that was the issue. We're gonna go around and I'm gonna list our names here. If you have other names, just raise your hand, including people in this room if you'd like. We're thinking about Dan Abels, Andrea Adler, John Binder, Alan and Karen Cooper, Joe Dinky, Gloria Fine, Sue Frank, Barbara Frieda, Marianne Sacramento Friedman, Carolyn and Ernie Grosser, Dijon Heyman, Hillary Kerman, Maya Ruth Corin Matlock, Jim Kiles, Miles Levy, Gail Lewis, Jenna Meltzer, Aaron Nevler, June Ollendorf, Judy Osowitz, Shannon Perry, Marty Relabati, Dwight Reed, Cheryl Rossi, Beverly Rovner, Brandon Ryan, Gail Willig-Smith, Enav Simons, Rex Tarman, Mike Wheeler, Ariel Leah Bat-Chava, Yosef Ben Zissel, Shmuel Ben Miriam, Hinda Sarah Bat Rachel, Shoshana Bat Liba, Chana Ezra Ben Shul, Chana Leah Bat Avram Basara, Liba Bat Rachel, and Shoshana Bat Liba. We'll go around if you have other names.
Anita Klinger, Jill Klinger, and Lisa Klinger Cantor. Anyone you're thinking of that needs healing?
We'll bring all those names into our heart, both the ones said and unsaid, as we sing the Misha Berach. 371.
Misha Berach Avotenu Mikor HaBracha the ones before us, help us find the courage to make our lives a blessing, and let us say, Amen. Misheberach imotenu mekor habracha. Bless those in need of healing with refuah shlema, the renewal of body, the renewal of spirit, and let us say, Amen.
Complete healing of body and soul. I'd like to bring up Naomi. We'll turn to 586. For Aleinu, invite you to rise. It's not enough for us just to pray. We need to go out and do good deeds in this world. We turn to our Mourner's Kaddish, page 598. I learned today about the sudden passing of Jim Bukowski. Our thoughts and prayers are with his wife Lynn and their son Adam, and the whole family, his sibling, I know Lynn's side better, but Jim was a really nice, quiet guy. We'll have more announcements about funeral once it's set up, but just letting people know. We're also remembering Judith Brody, Rose Haber, Renee Jaffe, and Lou Weiner, all who died in the last week. On our Shloshim list, Gersh Breutman, Boris Greenberg, Ruth Lansing, and Naomi Mintzer. And I just want to say, if you, in the Federation email, had a beautiful story about Renee Jaffe. She had quite a life, and she was one of the, I guess she helped to fund also the contest for the Holocaust Resource Center, now HERO, and she was one of the speakers for many, many years. From years past, we're remembering Sylvia Berger, Joseph A. Carr, Daniel Morris Cohen, Minette Mickey Epter, Mary Friedman, Jean Frey, Gary Gafter, Victoris Gambitsky, Alexander Gerstel, Leonard Goodman, Geraldine S. Gross, Rose Gordon Hirschhorn, Donald Horowitz, Lillian Hurwitz, Charles Kaufman, Saul Kaufman, Mary Kerman, Samuel Koras, Charles Lefcourt, Albert Mandelkern, Yetta Mandelkern, Rose Meyer, Kel Moore, Henry S. Pessar, Dorothy Ricken, Rita Bloomberg Roth, Samuel Rubin, Julianne R. Sapphire, Max Savatsky, Minnie Schreiber, Richard Seitz, Ethel K. Sullender, Aaron Sapienik, Fred Vogel, Rexford Vosberg, Edith Weinbaum, and Esther Yeloff. If there's other names, just raise your hand. All those whose custom it is to rise, page 598. Yitgadal, v'yitkadash, shemei rabbah, v'yalma divrach yirtei, v'yamlik malchutei, v'chayechon, v'yamechon, v'chayei, dechol beit Yisrael, v'agala, v'yizman kari, v'yimru, amen. Yehi shmei rabbah, v'vorach, le'olam, olmei olmaya. Yitbarak, v'yishtabak, v'yithar, v'yitramam, v'yitnaseh, v'yitadar, v'yitaleh, v'yitalal, shmei dekudasha b'rechu. Le'ela min kol birchata v'shirata, tushbechata v'nechamata, damiran v'alma v'yimaru, amen. Yehi shlam rabba min shemaya, v'chayim aleinu v'al kol Yisrael v'yimaru, amen. Oseh shalom b'yimramav. Huya says shalom, aleinu v'al kol Yisrael v'al kol yoshvei tevel v'imra, amen. May the one who creates harmony and high bring peace to us, to all Israel, and to all the world, and we say amen. Amen. You may be seated. Bruce is going to offer the announcements. Just on the yard site, Sid Weiss is going to be, or have the funeral here at 2 o'clock on Sunday. It's a memorial service, sir.
Sid, by the way, was one of the original members of our executive committee when the two temples came together and Shir Shalom started. He was a valuable contributor for a lot of years. He passed away a few months ago. Shabbat Shalom. We're late tonight, so lots going on. I'll see you later. Todd liked that one. There's a couple things I do want to mention, though. So, by the way, thank you to Michal Lewis for sharing her story. Thank you, of course, to Masti World Music. Wow. And thank you to Cantor. To use a Passover term, if you had just done Lecha Dodi, Dayenu, but you went on from there. What a wonderful, wonderful service tonight. We have one more, Jews of all hues, coming up. That's next month. That will be Israel. Thank you, Michael, for sponsoring this. This has just been such a wonderful thing for our community, and we are so grateful to you for doing this. And it doesn't end. We got one more still. And of course, thank you to the rabbi and the cantor for their roles in making tonight's service so memorable. Lots coming up. I'll give you the highlights. Tomorrow morning, Torah study, 9 a.m. in person at Temple Besedek. Also available via their Zoom. Shabbat morning service is at 11 o'clock. That's at Canterbury Woods this week. As Rabbi mentioned, memorial service at Sunday at 2 for Sid Weiss. There will be a reception following. The rabbi's class, Intro to Shir Shalom, Friday night services will resume next Friday at 6:30 p.m. We're into a new month, but our Tikkun Olam team is still collecting food for the Tiger's Den Food Pantry. So please bring a donation of non-perishable food if you can. Pickleball open play Wednesday this week based on availability. That's from 6:30 to 8:30. Before that, Shavetas is back on Tuesday. That's from 4 to 7 or until we're sold out. Be sure to pre-order. Buffalo Corner Reading Series returns Thursday at 7 p.m. in person and in Zoom. This is Mystery Night with Gary Earl Ross, so that should be quite cool. Very special service next Friday night. Our Sisterhood Shabbat, the women of Shir Shalom, are doing the service, and that is next Friday. They're still looking for a few people to participate, so if you'd like to take part, please talk to Jill Hamilton. That's always one of the nicest services of the year, and we are so grateful to the women of Shir Shalom for everything they do for this temple. So please come next Friday night, and let's show our support to them and enjoy a wonderful service. Then Sunday, the 19th of May, is our congregational meeting, our annual congregational meeting. It's on a different night than usual. It is on a Sunday night. We had a little trouble figuring out a night that we could do it. We are going to have the annual reports. The finance report is a killer, let me tell you. Anyway, but we'll also have nominations announced for the Board of Trustees and the President's Award, which this year is going to Joanne. So let's all come out and cheer her on when she receives that award. Speaking of Joanne, if you need anything at all, call her. Don't call Todd. Don't call the rabbi. Don't call the cantor. Call me, not me. If you need anything at all, call Joanne. She is here for you. No, seriously, call any of us. We're here. And to join us again for the Oneg Shabbat immediately following, which is sponsored by Michael Berger, catered by the Bloom and Rose. And you guys are going to be performing in there as well. So we'll have musical accompaniment as we enjoy Iraqi food. So Shabbat Shalom, everyone. And I know there's an event. There's something else coming up Sunday, Monday.
We have two other announcements. Monday, there's a gathering at the UB campus to support the students at noon. And also, there's a very special Israeli group called Kulu Lam that's going to be here on Thursday night at 8 o'clock. It's not here. It's down at the, I thought it was Babesville. It's not. It's a different, what's it called? Asbury Hall. It's truly, Shira Klayman, one of our members, helped to bring them here. They encourage this group music, and if you have a chance to go, it's 8 o'clock on Thursday. Please do. And now I'll turn it back to the cantor.
Oh, yes. Page 128. Hine Matov. Hine Matov from the region. And I think you're going to enjoy this. Let's move these chairs back so everybody can see. And by the way, please take a look at your programs and look at the credentials of these people. They have taught in every college in the area between all four of them. Enjoy. Let's give a wave for, thank you for joining us. Hine Matov Umanayim Javarach Nam Yachad. Hine Matov Umanayim Javarach Nam Yachad. Hine Matov Umanayim Shevet Achim Shevet Achim. You're welcome to take the flyers home and the leaflets home.
That's what happened later, because I didn't have.
I'm giving you a hug. That was great. That was wonderful.